few years ago, he considered me evil for saying that I think Trump is the right way to go. That was 7 years ago, I think, and he was very unhappy about that, and he felt I embarrassed him with his friends. But since then, he's actually, sort of realized and seen the light, and he now has seen what has to happen to maintain the country in which he moved to, which in fact his grandfather was born in, on his mother's side, and he wants to keep that country the way it is, a first-rate country, not a basket case. So it's well on its way to becoming a basket case, just like the UK. The UK is a basket case.
Why are we a basket case?
Well, if you don't know, then there's really nothing for me to talk to you about.
And what do you think he wants to get and to gain from his alliance with Donald Trump?
Well, first of all, Elon is not far right. So let's just get something clear here. Donald Trump is not far right. This crap I'm not interested in talking about, So if you come from that side of the fence yourselves, I'm not really interested in talking about it with you. He's dead center. Elon is dead center. So just like the crowds that protested in England about the circumstances that they were unhappy with, none of them were far right. They were just ordinary people expressing legitimate grievances.
Well, I'm sorry,
yeah,
but they were
obviously
they were prosecuted in this country for their racism and for their aggression, and they have been treated in our criminal justice system.
So no, they haven't.
Many people, they didn't have legitimate.
No, you have the worst government, I think, in the history of the UK over the last 400 years. Right now, no, they were not racist. They were complaining about the circumstances that they are being forced to endure. That's not racist. That's common sense. So this talk about everybody who doesn't. Who says they don't like something is racist? No, that's rubbish. So let's just get something clear. If that's how you think, then I have nothing to say to you. You are part of a group that I consider useless, and so no.
But why would you consider me useless? This is my country. I'm a citizen.
Yes. I consider
within this country, and people were convicted on criminal charges.
But no, it's not criminal.
In front of the
no, what they did was not criminal.
To talk about
yes, what they did was not criminal. The thing is, what they did was not criminal. So let's get clear on that. The Starmer guy is a joke. He needs to resign. He's the worst example of a prime minister I've ever come across. He doesn't even look the part. And so, anyway, if you think along those lines, you have everything wrong. The hope we have, Elon is a very sensible person. He's my son, and apart from anything else, he's smarter than probably anybody I've ever met. So, he has taken time himself to learn. A few years ago, he considered me evil for saying that I think Trump is the right way to go. That was 7 years ago, I think, and he was very unhappy about that, and he felt I embarrassed him with his friends. But since then, he's actually, sort of realized and seen the light, and he now has seen what has to happen to maintain the country in which he moved to, which in fact his grandfather was born in, on his mother's side, and he wants to keep that country the way it is, a first-rate country, not a basket case. So it's well on its way to becoming a basket case, just like the UK. The UK is a basket case.
Why are we a basket case?
Well, if you don't know, then there's really nothing for me to talk to you about.
You sound a little bit more angry with me than I am attempting.
No, I don't even know you. But when I hear nonsense, listen, I don't even know you. But when I hear nonsense, you're not talking to the silly brigade here. You're talking to someone who is smart. I'm a smart person. I don't like to put it like that. Sounds very corny. But I'm not one of the normals the types that you normally talk to. You're talking to the real thing here. So let's get real, okay? So if you're going to come to me with stories about these people that committed crimes and everything, it's nonsense. This Starmer needs to resign. He's no good. He's no good. He's taken England, and his group have taken England back 400 years to the times of Cromwell and possibly
Okay,
Henry VIII.
but the
So if
Labour.
you can't see that, then we have nothing to talk about.
Okay, can I just put one final point to you, and then it's
Yes,
absolutely up to you if you don't want to carry on the conversation at all.
yes.
I would love to, but you may not want to. The Labour government has only been in power for nearly, 5 months. There was 14 years of Conservative rule in this country beforehand. I think it is just a little unfair. I'm saying this simply from a journalist perspective, for you to be so condemnatory over such a short period of time of a government that, I don't wish to be rude here, you are not living under. So I feel obliged as a journalist to just put that point to you. Is that okay?
Yes, look, the Conservative government that you had was obviously not particularly competent. And, they were obviously have been taking their instructions from some central organization that's, in fact, giving all the governments in the world their instructions, because all the countries in the world, in Europe particularly, I mean, are letting in, immigrants, uncontrolled immigration.
Okay, I'm
And they're
interested
obviously
by
getting
that.
the instructions from somewhere to do this.
Right, what
Um,
is that central organisation? Who
I
might
don't
that be?
know. I'm not really sure, but it is obviously, I'm not stupid. It's easy to work it out. I think it's basically a primary school problem to work out. Somebody's giving instructions. So they're giving Macron instructions, they're giving the Germans, they're giving the Spanish, they're giving the Italians, they're giving the Greeks, they're giving America. This is what you've got to do. You've got to let these people in, and you must make them citizens, and you must bring them in by the millions.
But
And somebody's giving those instructions.
who
And if
would
you
want
can't
to do
work that
that?
out, then I don't think really we have anything to talk about, because there's nothing I could communicate with you on if you can't understand that. So yeah, now as far as your Conservative government is concerned, Johnson, I'd like to get hold of him, comb his hair actually, but apart from that, they were not much better. However, this new lot that you've got in, it's the condemnation of Starmer is widespread. It's not just me. It's thousands of intellectuals who are saying this Starmer has turned out to be something really bad.
Okay.
So
Do you think that he's taking orders from a
what?
shady central organisation? I'm still interested by who might be in that central
Well,
organisation.
we'd all like to know. We'd all like to know what the central organization is. But if you think that all these governments are doing this all by themselves, individually, well, then I think you need to go back to primary school. They are obviously getting instructions, and this is what they're doing. They get elected on the basis that they're going to stop unbridled immigration. As soon as they're in, they don't. They accelerate unbridled immigration. So somebody's telling them what they have to do. And it's obviously, it's so obvious that I don't want to go on about it.
Okay.
If you
But
can't
nearly all of
understand it, we
those
have nothing to
countries.
talk about.
No, I'm interested by your view, and I hope you're vaguely interested by
Not
my.
my view; it's a general view in the world.
Okay,
You know,
but let me just pose one more question about that, though. The countries that you've mentioned, they are trying to fight the tide of immigration. They are trying to push back against a lot of people coming into their countries. Italy claims some success over that. Germany, after welcoming immigrants, has had certain problems over there. And the democracy in Germany has voted in a party that is seeking to curb immigration. So I don't really
yes.
see your point that there's somebody above all of that who is influencing what
No,
these
no, no, no.
countries
What has
do.
happened under Merkel in Germany? She initiated this uncontrolled immigration under instruction from somebody. Then the people started electing different representatives. And as the different representatives came in, they started pushing back. And this is what's happened. The newly elected people are pushing back. And so you might have hoped, for example, that in your election recently, when you had this Labour election, which I was talking to somebody in England yesterday, and they were saying on television, they were saying that it's only 4 out of 5 people in Britain did not vote for this Labour government. I'm not quite sure how they mean. But at any rate,
Those numbers
your
don't add
Labour
up. They
government
had a
that's in there
landslide
now has
victory,
actually
Errol.
accelerated, has actually done the opposite. They've accelerated illegal immigration. And this is what I tell you. You can write this down, and then you keep it in your purse somewhere. if Starmer doesn't
I don't have a
release,
purse, actually. I've got a notebook. It's
all
exactly the
right,
same size as a man's.
then if Starmer doesn't release the people that these ordinary people that he's put in prison and removed and emptied prisons of hardcore criminals to put these people in, and if you can't understand the absurdity of that, then we have nothing to talk about. You know, you're obviously on the side that we are trying to get rid of, and so yeah. So if you can't understand that, then it's difficult. So if he doesn't release these people and put these criminals back in prison that have actually committed crimes, then there's going to be the British people. Well, let's put it like this: if the British people don't eventually turn around, they're a bit slow. Generally, England has always been a bit slow to react, which is good. They don't just impulsively react in general over the hundreds of years that have passed. But if they don't react against this government, this Islamic government, which will continue to do worse things, then one has to come to the conclusion that, just like the Germans in the 30s, they are complicit with the government.
What do you mean?
Just like the Germans in the 30s, who saw what was happening, to ordinary people put in prison, then if the British people don't stand up against Starmer doing this, because he's going to do more of it, then the British people are complicit. Then the British people are. Then the British population is complicit with the Labour government, just like the Germans were in the 30s.
Who are you comparing Sir Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, to in that analogy?
Well, I would probably compare him to the communist rulers of, the past. I would say he did work as an agent for the Soviet Union in Czechoslovakia as a student. So he is a communist.
Keir Starmer was a Russian spy.
Apparently, yes.
Gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah, he worked. He was as a student. He worked as an agent for the Soviet Union in Czechoslovakia. I read all about it. So you should also read about it. Anyway,
I'll make time for it.
That's irrelevant because as a student we all do silly things.
Yes. Okay. Can I just ask you a couple of questions about your son, because the world is really fascinated by him and his actions at the moment.
Yes.
When was the last time you spoke to him?
I don't know. Thursday last week.
And how is he feeling about everything that's going on in his world at the moment?
Well, we talk about family affairs. We don't talk about. I tell him that he's doing the right thing. Obviously, I don't. As I say, a few years ago, he was very upset with me about the fact that I said, "Look, the world is going the wrong way," and he didn't understand that at the time, and he's now, like many people, has now realized that, and he's now changed. So it's not like I want to say to him, I've never actually said to him, well, I see you've, sort of changed and seen what I was saying, or you've seen the light or something. No, I don't. We don't talk like that. He's my son, so I support him in every way I can, and tell him when I think he's doing the right thing, or it's difficult for me to say to him straight out, you're doing the wrong thing. Try that with any of your children. But no, it's difficult. So you should try and support him and say, well done. And I mean, last week for us, it was more to do with the fact that his extraordinary achievements, added $40 billion to his net worth, and about quite a large amount to my other son as well, because he's also involved. And the things that they did were beyond the realm and scope of ordinary people, such as catching this 32-story rocket with tweezers and such like.
Yes, remarkable thing to witness. What would you say motivates him? I mean, it's interesting you've mentioned that sum of money. I mean, it's hard, our eyes spin, don't they, when we look at the accumulation of his wealth. He is the richest person in the world at the moment. Is that something that you saw in him as a much younger man and as a boy, that desire to accumulate and to have?
No, money is the last thing. I know in England, I was talking to people on Talk Radio London last week. I was interviewed by them, and they kept talking about money, all the money. No, we don't think about money at all. We do things for the reason that we want to do them. The money comes by itself. So a lesson that you can give to people who, don't seem to make a success of life is, if you do something well and you work hard on it, then things like money come by itself. They start flowing in automatically. You don't have to focus on getting money. So we don't focus on money at all. So, and Elon certainly doesn't focus on money. And as you can imagine, he uses most of the money he gets to move things forward in things like the race to space, and to make improvements there, which most people would not do. They take their little packet of money and go and settle in Portugal or something. But no,
what does
we are not like that. We make the best we can of life. I'm 78. I still fly an airplane. I just completed a transatlantic ocean race. I still do all that stuff. I have two small children, one of 7 and one of 5. My oldest is 53. That's Elon. We are the sort of people who give things a go. We want to give things a go. In fact, I would imagine we are essentially quite English people. Our background is really quite English in the sense that we believe that we are, like most English people, that we have a duty to do the best we can. And as I said on the radio the other night, it's terrible to see what's going on in England now, because in fact, at least half of the most famous people in the world in the last few hundred years come from England. So it's very sad to see England going down in this. This. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to realize to say that Starmer is a fascist government. I mean, it's totally fascist. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing democratic about it. It's totally fascist.
Well,
the things they're doing.
They won a general election, Errol. It was a
Something went wrong with that election.
Process.
Something went wrong with this election.
Something
went wrong? Because I was told by people in England, I think it was on talk radio or something, that 4 out of 5 of the people didn't vote for this party. Something went wrong with this last election. So either people didn't vote because they were disillusioned with the Conservatives or something like that, but something went wrong in this last election. What you need now in England, this guy Starmer needs to resign. Look, so this is what I'm saying to you is, you can write it down. This is serious. You're getting stuff that's quite heavy, important and valuable. Starmer needs to resign, and they need to hold a new election in England. And this will, because the people have had a wake-up call now. They need to re-elect a government in this country. This government that you've got now, is the stairway to hell. So quote me on that. Stairway to hell is Starmer's government. So just like you might say in years gone by, if you read history, I don't know if you read history, but Cromwell's government was a stairway to hell.
Right. Well, I mean, these are extraordinary comparisons, and I think actually, if you put it out to our listeners, and when this interview goes out, we'll do exactly that. And I was to ask people whether they felt that they were at the bottom step of a stairway to hell. I don't think you'd get 4 out of 5 people saying yes.
Well, let's see.
Administration. And
well,
I think to call a government
what you think is not the
point. It's a loaded term, Errol. It is a loaded term, fascism.
Well, fascism is iron rod control and not allowing, you might say, free speech. That basically is what fascism is. It's not very complicated. It's a type of control. You might even say, if you want to be, most people struggle with the definitions of communism and fascism and so forth. But if you want to, on a light note, if you wanted to think of what is fascistic, you take the average high school, where the headmaster is let's say of the past. I'm not particularly looking at some weird type of high school now. Talking about the typical high school of the last 50 years. The headmaster is he has an iron rod of control. He dishes out caning, which is what happened in my life, for the slightest transgression. You have to sit up straight in your classrooms all the time. You may not speak. The teachers are the second level of control. In some ways, if you wanted to ask what a fascistic society is, then you'd say, well, yes, the typical high school, I'm talking about a more or less a proper high school, you could say, of the last 50 years is typically fascistic setup. But because the children really have little say in what happens, they're the population. And and if they don't agree, they get caned. So that's a typical fascist setup. But no, what you've got now is very un-English. If you can't see it, I'm sorry for you. If you can't see what you've got in England now, then I'm very, very sorry for you.